Michael McNamara, please.
Thank you, Ceann Comhairle. Taoiseach, I wish to bring to your attention a worrying trend that has come to my attention and give one example of it. Taoiseach, it concerns a young man from the Indian subcontinent who travelled to the United Kingdom on a valid student visa issued by the UK government. That visa allows him to work for 10 hours a week only. He obviously hoped to work for far more, and he went to an agency in the United Kingdom who told him that they could get him full employment permission in Ireland and arrange travel and a work permit. They took £1,500 sterling from him and retained his passport so that he would pay an additional £1,000 when he started work. They arranged his travel to Liverpool, and from there a ferry to Belfast, from where he travelled down to Dublin. He was given the air code and the postal address of his employer, and he turned up there and it was the IPO office in Dublin. He obviously didn't know that he was being sent to the IPO office. He was one of 5 travelling in a similar way, organised by the same agents on the same day, and he knows of 30 more people sent to Ireland by that agency in the same way. He's now in Ireland. He's trying to get out of the asylum system and return back to the United Kingdom. He doesn't have his passport. Now, it's very clear that vulnerable people in a precarious position are being horribly exploited by bad actors. But Taoiseach, it's equally clear that our state is being exploited by those bad actors. And while the Punch and Judy show that your government is engaging in with the UK authorities is all well and good, I want to know, Taoiseach, what you can do and what hope there is of international cooperation to resolve this. Because if I know anything of the underworld in which these agents, these people traffickers, let's call them what they are, operate, is that if there's one agency doing it in London, there are many doing it in London. Taoiseach, you often talk of a rules-based system. Last week, the judgment of the 22nd of March came to light, and we were told it came to light that none of the rules around the sex offenders register were applied. The Department of Justice were informed by UK authorities of a sex offender and effectively did nothing until the matter came to trial, or was about to come to trial. There are rules, we accept that, but the rules are simply not being applied. The Department of Justice is the lead agency for the security of this state and for public safety, but it seems unable to apply its own rules. So we can talk about a rules-based system all we want. If those rules are not being applied, they are essentially irrelevant. And the public at large, not just in this state, but unfortunately bad actors in other states, are cottoning on to that. We have a problem, Taoiseach.
Well, I thank Deputy McNamara for raising 2 important matters and giving me an opportunity to respond. In relation to the first one, it is a very serious matter, and I mean the government's response to this is to pass the human trafficking bill. Of course, not knowing the specifics of the individual case you raised, but taking it as an example of a broader issue. We did see the human trafficking bill, I believe, passed in the Dáil in recent days, and now moving forward into the Seanad. And as you will know, as someone who would have participated here, this will put a revised national referral mechanism on a statutory footing, making it easier for victims of trafficking to come forward, to be identified, to access supports. And I think very much showing how serious this country on a legislative basis wants to take the issue of human trafficking, because the issue you highlight is indeed extremely important. We did see some progress in relation to Ireland's rating and the Trafficking in Persons report. Nothing to write home about. We have a lot of work to do in relation to this situation, but we did see in 2022 some positive progress made in relation to that. So I think between the legislation Minister McEntee is bringing forward and that will now go through the Seanad, and also the human trafficking strategy, I do want you to know, and I want that individual that you mentioned to know, and I want anybody seeking to exploit Ireland to know, this is an issue we will take and do take extraordinarily seriously. There is also very significant collaboration between An Garda Síochána and Europol, Interpol, and of course police forces in the United Kingdom as well. If there's any more specifics you want to give me in relation to that case, I'd be happy to pursue that as well. But we have seen some examples of convictions that I think show signs of progress too. In relation to the second part of your question, if you wish, and I've noted your comments, and I've read some of your questions in relation to this in public media in recent days, and I accept your bona fides in raising an issue that is important and that the Minister wants answers on as well, and has indeed sought answers. I do just need to slightly push back on the assertion in relation to the Department of Justice, because I'm informed that what we do know is that the details of an individual's criminal record was transmitted from the International Protection Office of the Department to An Garda Síochána at the time of its original receipt from the UK authorities. But I'm happy to allow the review to its business. I think it's quite appropriate that the Minister wants to ensure that the loop is closed in relation to this, because we do actually have a strong legislative basis. It's very clear that anyone who comes to Ireland who has been convicted of a sex offence abroad must register. And I should also say, and be cautious in what I say, Count Corda, because there could indeed be criminal proceedings here indeed, potentially, in relation to any hypothetical case, because the law of the land is very clear in relation to the obligation on any individual who is convicted of a sex offence to register, and there are indeed criminal sanctions should you choose not to do it. So what the Minister is seeking, and I fully support her in relation to this, is clarity on this case and indeed any other cases like this. I know you put some questions into her today, and I know the Minister will respond to you in relation to that. But I am satisfied this matter is being taken seriously. I am satisfied that we do have a firm rules-based system. I think we always have to keep on striving to do better. I think we all share that view right across government. Rules are in place, rules need to be enforced, rules need to seem to be enforced. Every person who enters this state does go through the SIS check. The SIS check is a centralised secure database used by European countries for maintaining information, what they call alerts, and indeed it was that alert system that would have identified this issue.
Yeah, thanks, Taoiseach. I transmitted those questions this morning, having previously transmitted them on yesterday morning, not Monday. It was a bank holiday, and I'm awaiting a response. I'm too satisfied that we have rules, and we have lots of rules and lots of legislation, and even more and more legislation all the time. But I'm not happy that they're being applied, because they're not. This is an instance where they weren't. Now, when it was raised in the public media last week, we were told there was a review. But the judgment was handed down. It's not me raising a concern. The High Court said it cannot be overlooked that information relating to the conviction was in the possession of the Minister's agents since October 2021 without steps being taken. I am troubled that this fact has not come to light sooner, given the purpose of maintaining a sex offenders register as a safety and control measure. So that judgment was handed down, was delivered to the Minister on the 22nd of March. When was that review requested? When did that review commence? Who was appointed to carry out that review? Can we see the terms of reference of that review? Or was that review something that was just rustled up? I hope it wasn't. Was it just rustled up last week in response to press queries? Because that would be entirely unacceptable.
Thank you. Taoiseach.
So we do have rules. Rules are enforced. Rules need to be seen to be enforced. And on occasions where there's any questions in relation to that, it's important that we can quickly move to clarify that situation. There was a judgment given. I generally know, having been a minister in departments, when judgments come in, they're generally considered, advice taken, next steps and the likes. My understanding is the review was sought by the Minister last week. The Minister will respond. The Minister will respond to your specific... Deputy McNamara,
please, let the Taoiseach answer without interruption.
You were late turning up your question. Now you're shouting me down. Can you just give me a little moment here? Because these are serious matters. Thanks, Deputy. I was here to answer your question. Thanks. Thank you very much. So, I mean, when the High Court makes comments, government departments take High Court comments very seriously. Government departments then appraise what action needs to be taken, advise the Minister, and the Minister has then made the decision, quite rightly, to seek a review into this matter. She wants that review to provide clarity in relation to this specific case. And I think that's important, because even some of the information you said, and said in good faith, I don't believe is accurate, because I do believe that information was transmitted from the IPO to the Guard. So the review in relation to the case is important, but also I think your secondary point is one we would share.
Thank you,
a review in relation to learning and making sure that this hasn't happened in any other